Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. I'm Sunny, so happy to have you here. And if you've been here for a little bit, well, you might remember a video that I created a couple years ago called Once I Figured This Out, I Became a Millionaire. And that video had so much traction and so many comments on it. And with a couple more years and a couple more years of experience under my belt as a business owner and entrepreneur, I've now been doing this for over a decade, but every year you learn a little something new. I thought it'd be great to do a really tactical approach to that concept and share the 4 key things that I have figured out to allow my course to grow to millions. At this point, we've done just under $30 million in revenue, which is truly mind-blowing. And even bigger than that is the impact we've been able to create. And I think what's even cooler than that is I really didn't think it was possible to create a business that could grow to this height without really burning myself out and without, grinding my face off and all of those things that you might hear. The reality is I've created a really sustainable, really peaceful, really healthy business so that I could be the most peaceful and healthy version of myself. And that's what this channel is also all about. So if you're excited about this topic, if you're excited to dive in, I'm going to tell you those 4 things in just a second here. Be sure to hit that like button and be sure to subscribe for new content every single week. And if you want to take this a step further, it's super easy to do, very simple. Click the link below this video and you can actually apply to speak to a real person on my team to see how we can help you take your unique genius and turn it into a highly impactful, highly scalable, online course business. We've done this for doctors, DJs, lawyers, music producers, dancers, healers, everything in between. The most amazing part about that is that we're able to create success ripples out in the world by helping you reach the people who need you most. So like I said, there's a link below to do just that. But without further ado, let's get into the deets. So like I said, I'm all about peace in your business. I'm all about creating sustainable, long-term success at a really healthy rate and a healthy pace. So this channel is all about creating a peaceful and healthy business. And the 4 keys that I want to get into today with you are the one thing. So what does that actually mean? How do you actually focus on one thing? Because I know saying that, it sounds crazy, but it's doable. The second thing is the key to growth. The third is magnetic content. So creating content, whether that be on social media, for your email list, if you have one, if you don't, that's okay. Wherever you are creating content, doing so in a way that actually attracts the right people to your business so you can have an impact on them. They become a client and you can truly see the results and success that they're seeking. And the 4th piece is never undervalue again. So if you're sitting there thinking, okay, I have this business idea, but who the heck's going to pay for it? How's it going to get out there in the world? Who's going to want this? This is really important for you to hear because what you have to share is valuable. You might just not understand how to see the true value in it. So we're going to get into that in detail a little bit later. Okay, so how do you actually focus on one thing? Well, you might be sitting there thinking, okay, well, I have to pick a topic. I have to pick a category. That's really an outdated old way of being able to choose the direction for your business. It doesn't work very well at this point because there are so many people out there talking about the same things. And what that does is it makes everyone blend in together and it doesn't allow you to stand out. So picking one thing is not about what you do, and it's not about who you do it for. It's a combination, but most importantly, it's how you do it. So what is the transformation that you're creating for them? And how is that related to your own experience, unique genius, and expertise? That, my friend, is what makes you stand out in a very crowded marketplace. So a lot of people think, okay, well, the one thing would be business, or the one thing would be singing. Those are such huge categories. You want to think about that as like a huge ocean that you're about to jump into and you're just going to sink right to the bottom. We want you to rise to the surface, and I'm going to give you very specific examples of this throughout the video today to really help hone in on how you can simplify and single out your unique genius in amongst a very crowded industry or marketplace. So you may have heard me say this before, and if you're new here, maybe not, but long time ago, I came up with the saying of niche down to blow up because it truly is how things grew exponentially for me. And it It takes a minute to wrap your head around it because oftentimes we're told that the bigger your audience is, the more successful you are. And the more people you reach, the more successful you are. The reality is you don't need to reach everybody. You need to reach the right people. And the more that you narrow your focus, the less people you actually have to reach to create a lot of success and a lot of growth. When it comes to identifying your one thing, like I said, not just what, not just who, how, and the outcome. So we used to boil this down into one very specific sentence. I help blank go from blank to blank so that they can blank. This is called a transformation statement. This right here is your one thing. This entire sentence is your one thing. So who you're helping, where you're taking them from, and where you're taking them to. So we call this the zero state and the hero state. So what is the journey you're taking them on and the outcome that they're seeking? And what is their desire behind that outcome? Why does it matter to them? Oftentimes you gotta ask, why did it matter to you? Because if you're teaching something, it always has to be based on your own experience and your own expertise. And you learned that thing, you mastered that thing for a reason. So what was the deeper rooted why behind that? Which brings me to the next piece of this when it comes to narrowing your focus on the one thing. When you get clear on your transformation statement and who you're helping and how you're helping them, you then create a goalpost for yourself. And this is one of the best visuals that I can think of when it comes to focus in business, which leads to exponential growth. Most people don't really know where they're going and they start backwards and they just start creating a bunch of content. They start doing all these things. They build the website. They try and create operations without having a team. They try and do all the things without really knowing where they're going. So you have to make the goalpost stop moving. You need to know where you're going. So this right here, this is your transformation statement. When you get clear on that, you know who you're helping, you know exactly how you're helping them, and you know exactly what you want to be known for. When you know those factors, you're set up for growth and a lot of clarity. I think a good way to put this too is there's a great saying of when you know your why and you're clear on your why and your purpose, the how becomes easy. If you're sitting there and you've been grinding away at your business and you're doing all these things and you're working long days and nothing is happening, it means that this is not clear. Your transformation statement, your why, your goalpost is going all different directions. And you can't quite get there because you don't even know where it is or what it is. So when your why and your purpose isn't clear, the how you're going to get there and the steps to get there become impossible and become so frustrating. So getting clear on your transformation statement, who you're helping, how you're helping them, and what you want to be known for, and the transformation that you are going to create for them or the problem you're solving or the solution you're providing to them, because that's what entrepreneurs do. And that becomes your goalpost. That becomes your North Star. That is the only thing, the one thing that you are focused on every single day and that every activity in your business leads towards. So you're constantly winning. So the real key to growth, and again, this feels very counterintuitive, but I speak with so much experience on this, not just for myself, but for all the people that we've been able to help create these highly impactful and highly scalable online course businesses. It really comes down to one of the most common mistakes that happens, which is most people try and lead with messaging. And what do I mean by that? So most people try to lead with, I'm just going to create a bunch of content. I'm going to start a YouTube channel. I'm going to have my Instagram account. I'm going to do a TikTok and I'm going to make all this content. And someday, somehow, I'm going to have a business. That's a very long, frustrating process when you don't know what your goalpost is because you don't know why you're creating the content or who you're creating it for, which in turn then confuses the heck out of the algorithms. And they don't even know how to help you grow because they need to know who you're reaching and what you want to be known for in order for them to use internal traffic sources to help you grow on any social media platform. So one offer and one ideal client is the key to exponential growth. And I say this because this is how my business is built and it's how I was able to hit that tipping point of serious growth. So, like I said, most people start with messaging, but there's a correct order to things in business. And this has been time tested and proven. This is what I always harp on. So it goes like this. Forgive my terrible writing. I'm going to say this because you might not be able to read it. Okay, so you have to have your offer clear first. And that really is your goalpost. You have to know who you're serving and how you're serving them. And then this is ultimately your product, your service, whatever it is that you're selling. From there, you need to know exactly who your ideal client is, because if you don't know who your ideal client is, you don't know how to get the offer to them. And once you have clarity on these two factors, which are absolutely vital, you then can create messaging. And the messaging you create is going to work so much better because you know who you're trying to reach and what you want to be known for. So you're going to reach them a lot faster with much less friction and guesswork and frustration and time and all of the things. And then from there, you want to create traffic. So when you start clarifying your messaging, you're going to start getting leads and traffic in the door of people who want to work with you, who look at you as an expert. And then from there, you create sales. You can actually convert these people to make the deepest impact possible by actually giving them the solution that they're seeking. And from that piece, you can actually start building out a team because you actually have cash flow and sales in your business. And you have the means to be able to support a team. And from that place, then you can create operations to allow you to scale yourself out of the business and become the leader of the business instead of running everything in the business and doing all the day-to-day operations. You stay stuck in that place when, again, you don't have the clear goalpost and the plan and correct order of events to actually get there. And something really important to understand about having one offer and one clear ideal client is the level of impact that you can make on the people you serve is a direct reflection and in direct proximity to your own experience and level of empathy. Because you need to have gone through the thing that your client is going to be going through when they come to you for help in order for you to really know how to serve them best. So a really good example of this and how you can actually dissect this for yourself. Let me give you the example first, then we're going to go through the tactical way to do this. So one great example of this is one of my clients, Will, is a music producer, and he, was a freelancer for a long time as a music producer, had been in the place of really struggling to get by and to make this his life's work, etc. And so he created a program to help what he calls music bedroom producers. And that means that these people are kind of doing this like as a side hustle in the privacy of their own home, and they're playing around with the music, but they really want to get to a place where it sounds professional. So why is that such a great example to share with you? Well, it's because that's the key to getting your one offer and your one ideal client. You have to be very clear on what's my level of experience. What have I done? What's the transformation I've been through? What was my zero state and what is my hero state? Because it would be very different if Will was out there trying to teach the best DJs in the world how to get better, because he has not done that for himself. He has not become this world famous DJ, so it wouldn't make a ton of sense for him to teach the best of the best in the business. He needed to know, okay, this is my experience level, this is my story. And then you match that with the 3 key factors of your ideal client. This is so important. Your ideal client is not just one person. There are facets to this. So it needs to be one ideal client, and then it needs to be one tipping point for that client, seeking one specific outcome. Okay, let me illustrate why this is so important. You know your experience level, okay? So in Will's example, he went from freelance music producer to having professional music that he was producing and was actually serving up to people in the industry. He knew who his ideal client was. It was a mirror for that. But the tipping point is, I'm sick of just doing this in my own space. I actually want to get to the level where I can do this professionally, okay? So that's the tipping point. That's the place on the journey. And then the one specific outcome is they're actually getting their music seen, heard, and used by people in the industry. That's the journey he's taking people on. He's not helping all music producers. He's not helping producers who are at the absolute pinnacle of success in the industry. He knows his experience and he's matching that with those 3 factors. One specific ideal client, one specific place on their journey where they are ready to make a change and it matches your own experience, and then one specific outcome. What does that create? Even more clarity on your goalpost. So you can just go full force towards that one thing. If he were to try and reach a really broad audience, it would keep him growing like this, spreading himself thin, trying to reach everybody. But because he's so clear on who he's serving, he's able to scale like this, straight up, because he has one specific direction and goal he's heading towards. And that's what's allowed him to scale to $50,000 a month and upwards. Now, this is really important. How do you create magnetic content, magnetic messaging that really relates to the people you can have the deepest impact on, who you can help the most, and create the best transformations for? Okay, so what we just spoke about is really relevant here. So you probably have heard a ton of people say, create valuable content, just help people, just create content that helps people. Of course, that's going to be great for you because ultimately, as entrepreneurs, like I said, we solve problems, we create transformations for people, we provide solutions. But there's another level, and I'm sure you can guess what it is. So you need to have valuable content, of course, but not just valuable content for everybody. Valuable content based on your unique experience level and the experience that you have in creating the outcome that your ideal client is seeking, plus the 3 factors. You want to be creating valuable content based on your experience level for the people you've described in 3 factors. So where they're at on their journey and what outcome they're seeking. That combination creates powerful magnetic content that will attract your ideal clients with a lot less effort. I go into this even further detail in the last video I created on how to create less content but more sales. So definitely check that out next. But this is a really easy way to kind of break it down so you can understand the formula behind it. And I have this little acronym I created because if you can make sure and audit your content with this checklist, it's going to help you create the content that's actually going to convert into clients. So educate them, position yourself as an expert by saying, this is what I've been able to do. And I'm going to show you an exact example in a second. Problem solve, create an execution plan for them, and then make sure it's relevant to the 3 factors, to the pain that this person is in, and then take action. So have a clear call to action so they can actually do something about it, to take the next step with you, work with you, go from social media to actual loyal paying client. So a really basic framework here is fill in the blanks and follow this structure for creating your next piece of content on any platform, okay? So feel like you're struggling to feel confident enough to sing in front of your friends, making this up. Here's how to build your vocal strength so that you don't have vocal tears or shakiness when you sing in front of family and friends. Step-by-step instructions. I'm not a singer, so I don't know. And then I use this method to go from only singing in my bedroom because I was so nervous and scared to sing in front of anyone, including my friends and family, to booking small gigs in my city. This is just one of the ways that I was able to do just that for myself and for my clients. And if you want to be able to sing outside of your bedroom and to really get out there and use that creativity, be sure to comment below or DM me. Okay, so that ties it all together. So feel like blank. Here's how to blank. This is the outcome they're looking for. Here are the step-by-step instructions. Maybe it's 1, 2, 3, kind of an overview of that one thing. I use this to achieve the outcome they're looking for. And this is just one of the ways that I was able to do this for myself and for my clients and to be able to get confidence singing. Again, outcome related. And if you want to be a confident singer in public, comment below or DM me so you can actually have the conversation, start the conversation, and that one person can turn into a client. This is how you create less content and generate more activity for your business and more sales, because it's so laser focused on who you actually are serving instead of trying to serve everybody. When you do that, your messaging falls flat and it doesn't reach anyone. So the really cool thing about this is this has been tested for me on every single platform. And it can be leveraged on any platform and for any niche, because at the end of the day, it's based on those 3 main things. It's valuable content based on your unique experience, which makes you stand out, and it's directly for your client and those 3 factors. So I wanted to share some actual examples of people I work with and how they've used this profitable magnetic content template for their content across a bunch of different platforms. So Arifa, who helps teachers go through a career change to get out of the quote unquote traditional teaching profession, has leveraged magnetic content on TikTok, and she's grown her business to $500,000 in 11 months. And Jill is also an incredible example of leveraging magnetic content on her Instagram. You can see a couple of examples here speaking directly to her ideal client and exactly where they're at on their journey based on her own experience. And I love this example as well. Nicole, who helps Christians get clear on their life purpose, landed her first paying client, and she had to laugh at how easy it was because her messaging had landed so well with the potential client that they said, I just feel like you created this just for me. That's what happens when you combine those three factors together. Final thing is how I stopped undervaluing what I had to offer and what my unique experience actually was. I know this is a very common problem and a lot of people undercharge and undervalue, which does you a huge disservice because if you're not able to charge adequately and you don't know the true value, it's really hard to stay in business and to keep your business afloat, which then in turn doesn't allow you to serve the people who need you most at the highest level because you just can't even keep going in your business. So big keys to not undervaluing and never undervaluing your services or your offer again is understanding, and I know it sounds strange and I know it's counterintuitive, that broad equals broke. Let's just go back to the example from earlier. When you, let's say, go, I want to teach business, I want to create a course on business, you then are competing in very, very big open water compared to a lot of other people who are teaching business. And you have to realize that if you're just teaching business, what kind of business? What kind of business owner needs it? Where are they at in their business? Are they seasoned vets? Do they have, multi-billion-dollar businesses? Or are they just starting out and they can barely get their first client? That's very different content, very different messaging for very different people, which is why going broad leaves you broke, frustrated, and not able to make the impact that you need to make because you're getting lost in the sea of sameness. Whereas specific, say it with me now, comment below, specific equals, I will actually be so happy if you comment with this, specific equals sales. It has been proven time and time and time again. Why? Because people are getting inundated with things all day long. And they need to see your message and know that's for me or that's not for me quickly. And if it's very broad and all over the place and scratching the surface, they're going to go, I don't even know who that's for. I'm just going to scroll past it. And when you get more specific, it doesn't just affect your growth in terms of revenue in your business and profit. It also makes what you have to offer even better because you know exactly who you're serving it to, where they're at on their journey when they need it most, and what the outcome is that they're seeking. So then you can create the plan for them to get there in a really easy way. But if you're serving people who are coming in at all different places on their journey, seeking all different outcomes, you're going to create this really broad program, and clients are going to come in and go, I don't even know if this was for me. They're not going to get results. And then they're going to say you have a horrible course because it didn't deliver on the promise that they actually are seeking because you aren't even sure on what it is that they're seeking. So how could you deliver on it? And the reality is when you get so clear on who you're serving and how you're serving them, it becomes a lot easier to understand that you need a lot less people inside of your program and they value it a lot more because it is exclusively for them and for where they're at. And they know it's exactly what they need, which allows you to value it and charge adequately. When you go broad and you just say, yeah, I'm just teaching business, you know how many business books are out there on the market? You know how many free pieces of content there are online about that? That doesn't articulate and portray the value of what you have to offer. So you're ultimately doing a huge disservice to yourself by going broad. And you're also doing a huge disservice to those who are exactly where you were when you were in your most challenged, frustrated place and need your help the most because you have the most aligned experience with them because they can't even find you. So trying to go after more people, going broader, makes you less valuable. Going after a specific person and getting hyper-focused on your goalpost and your vision and your end goal and how you're impacting people, that allows you to value yourself adequately and to charge what you actually know your offer is worth because the results are going to be that powerful for the right people who need it. So when this really clicks for you, you're never going to want to make a piece of content again that doesn't reflect the value you offer, your unique experience and expertise, and the exact person at the exact place that needs you most. And it makes it very easy to create really powerful, really impactful, really magnetic, really profitable content. I hope this was really valuable to you. I put my heart into this one, and it is so aligned with my own experience over the last couple of years of really growing my business in a big way and in a really healthy way, which I think is important to talk about. I'm not sitting here super burnt out and working 12-hour days. It's become very balanced, and it's doable. It's doable for you. It's doable for anybody. So let me know, because it's my love language, what your big takeaways were in the comments. And if you liked this, please do hit that like button so we can reach more people in the algorithm. And like I said, if you're at that place where you're like, this sounds really interesting, and I think I'm ready to dive into creating my online course business. We've helped thousands of people at this point, and it's really simple. All you need to do is click below to apply to speak to a real human on my team. We are super particular about who we do except for a phone call, because we want to make sure that we're at the place where we can help you and impact you the most. So be sure to hit that link below, apply, and we'll see how we can best support you. Thank you so much for watching. I have a whole playlist right here that you definitely want to check out next. Very aligned with everything I talked about today and going even deeper. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.